Hi, I'm Christina Morgan-Meldrum, and I've been in the management consultant in change for a really long time. 30 years, I think we've worked it out each, haven't we? So,
Yes.
and interestingly, we have Jen and I will have very parallel kind of experiences in going through stuff out. If you looked at our maps of our lives, kind of like cross over quite a few times in different things. I like change because I love doing something different. I love going from a place that you've not been before and kind of working out how to get there and weaving all of the things that I find interesting and fascinating to go through to get there. My business is called In Cahoots because I believe that if you work together and collaborate, then you get a much better result than having one particular brain being applied. So I really like the ability to collaborate, which is kind of an example of this right here now.
Exactly.
Is that we're collaborating together on this particular adventure on Change Crash Investigators. That's the adventure that we're embarking on to share some crashes or near crashes.
Yeah, and I'm Jen, as Christina mentioned. My business is called Axiology Group. I've also been in change for just over 30 years. Really started out in that project space and kind of stayed there. I get bored really quickly, as Christina knows. So project life suits me, and have just seen a lot of good stuff, but also a lot of not great stuff. And we thought we would bring all of that collective experience to Change Crash Investigators to learn from those mistakes and hopefully help you learn from ours and other people's that have gone before us, and bring that to life so that you can learn from it and you can have some fun and while you learn, but also apply those lessons learned before you experience a change crash.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is really interesting about this process is there's a bit of a validation that happens. When Jen and I talk through some of the experiences, and sometimes it can be quite lonely, you could be a lonely voice talking about how not to do something or how not to maybe avoid or to avoid this particular thing that's going to happen if you let it happen. It can feel a little bit lonely sometimes when you're the only voice that's there saying something different, and it's good to be able to have somebody with Jen's experience to be able to share and kind of validate, oh yeah, that is kind of not okay, or that is completely okay, that's exactly the right path to do. So I find that helps as well.
Yeah, and we love to bounce ideas off of each other and have fun while we do it. So hopefully you have fun in the process as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ready to roll. Today's topic is it really resistance?
It's a
Really?
great topic. We get told people are resisting all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in interviews, you get asked that question almost persistently in every single interview. So, how do you handle resistance?
How do you handle resistance?
You're like,
Like a Seinfeld episode. You gotta see the baby. You gotta see the resistance. But is it really resistance?
Is it
or
really?
Is it just
logical questions?
and reactions?
Yeah, absolutely. So often I find that it is just people that are going, I have some questions that are not answered. And they're logical, structured, well thought through questions. They're not trying to be difficult. They're not trying to be mean. They're just like, hey, this question I've got hasn't been answered.
Yes. And I find a lot of times the people who are asking the questions are the ones who care really deeply about the organization or the process or the system or what the work is that they do. And their questions are coming from a place of wanting to understand it, to get it right, not actually to be difficult. And, oftentimes people say, oh, they're sabotaging because they're asking so many questions. I'd say it's the opposite. I'd say they're actually probably helping us be successful because they're asking the good questions.
Yeah. And it's an interesting take, because it's kind of like, if you think, and I know that emotions happen on not exactly on a perfect scale, but from being angry about a change to being super happy about a change, and in the middle is apathy, and that is the worst place you want to have people, because you've got no energy to shift them either way. So if somebody's angry, cool, let's understand why you're angry, let's understand what the reasons behind it are. I can shift that. If they're happy, I can also use that and utilize it. But in the middle, apathy, so you're absolutely right. If they are raising the questions, they are probably going to make your change way more successful. And I seek them out. Do you seek them out? I go looking for them. These people with the questions. Where are you?
I kind of refer to them as like the snarkastic ones.
Yeah,
they're
nice.
kind of snarky, they're a little bit sarcastic, but there's something truthful or meaningful behind that way that the delivery, I guess, is coming across. And I find those are the ones that are like, they ask the really good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I use them deliberately as well. So even if they're, if I've established that relationship where you can be a little bit sarcastic with them, you can have an open dialogue, then I actually go to them with stuff that's not even fully formed and kind of go, how would you react to this? What's your thoughts around this? And just get kind of their instant reaction to it. It's really, really helpful to know, that's not going to work.
Or even like redline it. Like, here's an idea, redline it. Tell me what's wrong with this, so, I can better form it.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's a neuroscience reason, right, for a lot of this. And I know you've done some study in neuroscience.
Yeah.
What's your take on, like, the brain's reaction and what drives that?
Well, it's a threat response.
Yeah.
So it's happening because they're feeling unthreatened. The threat could be any one of a number of different things. Often status is one of them. So, I used to be the only person in the whole organization that knows this system in and out. You're taking that piece of status away from me, then that's not going to be very nice. I'm going to feel less. It could just be that we haven't been very clear.
Yep.
So they don't know what's happening, when it's happening, why it's happening. Often why is missing quite a bit.
Yeah. And I think one of the most common things that I found, like in retros or post-implementation reviews, if we use the original language we kind of had around that, communication is the number one. And I always say, like, you can have the best communication campaign and people will still complain that the communications weren't good enough. So I think, having that certainty, having that clarity, it comes from communication. And even if you over communicate, people can self-select out of communications, but if you under communicate, they'll fill the gap, they'll fill the void with what's in their own head.
So there's two things I want to say about that. One is PIR is the same, so post-implementation review is exactly the same. So I go, oh cool, I'll just send you the same column 3 more times, that'll work. And they go, no. So I get them to be a little bit more specific. What do you mean? So I could kind of do something with it. So there's that one. There was a second thought I had around that as well. Often the executives are around 6 months into the journey before the rest of the organization's caught up. So they're kind of over the messages by then. But I keep telling them, you have to remember this is new news to them. So this is brand new, the first time they're hearing it, it's new to them. So you're just going to have to get sick of saying it because they need to be able to hear it as much as they possibly can, and then that will reduce resistance. But there's other neuroscience reasons behind.
Yeah, I mean, our brains are wired for status quo. It's what keeps us safe. It's what keeps us using low energy reserves in our brain. We operate on autopilot as much as we can, and reserve our energy for times when we don't have to. So any time we find something novel, something that's different that we're not expecting in life, in work, etc., that just uses brain capacity, and we get a natural trigger to respond to it. And that response is exactly that. It's just a response. It's not resistance. It's our brain going, hang on, this is different. This is new. I've got questions, and those questions are what, why, when, how, who, with, like what, like and why again, and why again. And I think, if you can just come at it from the perspective of expecting that, I think that you're going to set yourself up for a change delivery that's much more robust. If you can go, okay, people are going to react, because that's what humans do.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're human. I say we're humans. Humans are quirky. We're weird.
Yeah.
We do weird, quirky things. And at the heart of it is questions. We ask a lot of questions, and that's natural.
Yeah, definitely. And that part of it can also be your experience. So status quo, yes, but it could also be your experience, because if there's particular language used, particular terminology, or even just the way something is presented, often people will go, oh, I remember this from change past that was terrible and didn't go terribly well.
Yes.
This is gonna, in my brain goes, hang on, you need to be hyper alert now because this is not gonna go good. So make sure you've like really got your sort of hyper focus on, so that happens as well in the beautiful quirky brains that are humans.
Beautiful, yeah. And I like to think of it as like a fingerprint, right? So everybody has a unique individual fingerprint, even though Christine and I have worked together a bunch of times.
Yeah.
There have been times when we haven't worked together, and obviously we don't live in the same house, so we experience different change in life.
It would be very noisy.
So even though we have experienced some of the same changes, we've also experienced some different changes. That forms our memories.
Yeah.
And when we're confronted with the change, the first thing our brains do is go, what do I have in my memory bank that's like this that I can connect to, and go, oh, well, that went bad. This probably will too. So let's start from that kind of footing with it, because that's what our memories are. So think of it like a fingerprint. What makes up your individual change memory fingerprint? And all the good and all the bad that have contributed to that.
And often when you're attempting multiple amounts of the same change, so in the last one we talked about core, but if you've like tried to replace your core system with like the third time, then that's also a sign.
Here we go again.
But often then people are seen as, oh, they're resisting it. Well, no, they're not. They're just going, I've not seen this successful 3 more times before this. What makes this one different? So, and that's logical, and that's a clear, structured thought process of kind of saying, well, that's not resistance, just a really logical argument.
Exactly.
So you talked about sabotage. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more, or no?
Yeah, I think sabotage is an interesting one, right? Because people, so let me give you an example. So without naming the not so innocent, I'm oftentimes brought in after a project has gone wrong and they're trying to write the course to get it live or to recover and get people to adopt the solution after it's been implemented and people aren't using it. So I was once brought into an organization where IT had made the decision on what system they were going with. They really hadn't taken the subject matter experts from the organization. This was in academia. They hadn't really taken the experts from those that university setting and said, will this work, won't this work, what could you see the potential issues could be? And IT was trying to just push this live. It should have taken 6 months, and it wasn't a huge project in the end. But in the end, it actually was a huge project because we had to then go back and kind of write the course on engagement and communication and co-design. And I had something like, I don't know, over a dozen junior change analysts working with me, and I would just send them out to the university, just go and sit with the academics and be like, talk to me.
Yeah.
explain why you don't want to use the system. Explain why this won't work for you. And it was very rational, logical, obviously like academics, very logical, rational explanations for why this system they perceived to not be right for them. When we could sit with them and we could explain it and we could show them, and it was a very one-to-one thing that we had to do to get people over the line. But it had gotten 18 months in, it had gotten so bad that that's what was needed to write the course. I will say, had they probably just invested in change at the get-go, it wouldn't have been as expensive, it wouldn't have taken as long, and we wouldn't have needed so many people to get it to the point where people would actually use the system. But was that resistance? I don't think it was resistance. Was it sabotage? I don't think it was like, I'm going to go and purposely make sure that this isn't going to work. I think it was actually just, these are all the reasons why I, a very logical person, can't see this being the right decision, and nobody else can explain it to me. And without that explanation, they're not just going to automatically use it, because
Yeah.
they're taught, their whole lives are about critically
Yeah,
analyzing
yeah.
and questioning and critical thinking, and they're just taking what they do on a day-to-day basis and applying that to this
Yeah.
change scenario. So yeah, I don't think it was sabotage. I don't think it was resistance. I think it was just a reaction to not knowing all
Yeah.
the details.
And even putting them into sort of unfamiliar circumstances reminds me of a change where they were break fix experts and I was trying to turn them into technical consultants. So big shift in terms of I just turn up, it's broken, I fix it, versus I now go in and I kind of diagnose what kind of works. And I knew that was the right direction, so I knew that was where we need to go. And this is a change that I actually ran myself rather than being a project. But what I said to them is, let's just do one together, just one, and let's just see if it works.
It's
So-
like that pilot. It's like,
Yeah.
let's pilot it out, and
Yeah.
you break it and tell me if it's broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for each one of them, we'd just go, let's just do one. Let's just do one together. Some of them embraced it and took it and were running, but others I'm like, let's just do one together. And it was just building the skills, muscles, capability, and knowing that it was okay to fail, okay to make mistakes, okay not to get it right. Like, it wasn't resistance.
Yeah.
It was just, this is brand new to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
I'm
do
learning.
this. Can you help me? Basically, that's all it was. So, yeah, sure, let's do it together.
I think that's a really good point too around psychological safety, right? And what you were kind of starting to get at there was when people know it's okay to learn as you go, to ask questions as you go. You need that aspect of psychological safety in the environment for them, and sometimes that's actually really hard to build
Yeah.
in organizations. So it's either it's there or it's not there, right? So sometimes as the change person coming in, if psych safety isn't already existing in that team or in that organization, it does make our jobs a lot harder, because there's an element of apprehension or mistrust or something that's kind of underwriting a lot of the behaviors and the questions that people have because of the fear that might exist. Whereas if there is a psychologically safe environment, it's so much easier for them to jump in and have a crack and see what happens and learn and fail fast but learn from it type of stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to build that, so that's almost like those little advocates that we find where the what do you call them, snarkastics?
Snarkastics, yeah.
So the snarkastics, because we kind of build that by going to those and
Correct.
going, I'm going to hear you, I'm going to listen to what you've got to say, and I'm going to do something with that.
Yeah, I'm going to hold space for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to honor what you have to say, and I'm going to act on it.
Yeah. And when you have difficult stakeholders, not necessarily resistant, but difficult stakeholders, sometimes I'll do it from a perspective where I'm like, okay, we've got it all, these are the concerns, these are the things we're going to do about it, but in order to do this, I need you to do that. If you do that, then I'll do these other things, and kind of sets up that relationship, the reciprocity associated with it. Then if they come back and go, you didn't do the things you said, I'm like, oh, I didn't because you didn't do this thing.
Yeah.
That's what we agreed, you didn't do it, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
So.
And I think what's one of the interesting things is coming into a team and trying to build the psychological safety of a team so that the change can be successful, right? There are, for want of a better term, team building activities that you can do, but the underpinning of them is understanding our brains, understanding each other, understanding what makes you drive, me drive, etc., and those drivers that we each individually have. Two, like we all have the same drivers to a certain extent, but the varying degrees of importantness of each one varies individual, to individual. And I think that's where understanding those safety drivers for people, having that as an activity in the change plan can help you move people into a more psychologically safe space. 'Cause, I always say, people love to talk about themselves. When you start to dig into the brain, it's really interesting how even the most introverted people will start to question and come out of their shell and talk about, for me it's this, and I'm driven by that, and it just gives them a language to then use to move forward with. And I think that really helps set the change up much more in the realm of success than if that isn't existing.
Because I know that for fairness is quite an important one for you. I don't know where it sits in the pecking order.
I'm 9.8 on autonomy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought autonomy would be pretty high.
And then
Because I'm
fairness
like
is
about the
second.
same as that for autonomy. So I'm massive on autonomy. And recently, having redone, the SCARF model test, I was actually really surprised I was quite high on status as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes with age.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think as you get, rungs on your belt, whatever, rungs on
Yeah.
the...
Notches
whatever.
on your belt.
Notches
Rungs
on
on
your
your ladder.
Which
Lot of
analogy am I
metaphors
trying to use here? But yeah, I think as you do it, and I think you get a little bit more comfortable in like who you are and what you can offer as
Yeah.
well. So I think that the status becomes a little bit more important. But actively, I've been much more on LinkedIn and writing my thought processes for a while now. So I think that also helps you kind of you start off slowly and then you build
Yeah.
kind of a little bit more confidence around it as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was even working with a younger, a 20-ish year old who was on a soccer team and was struggling with the different personality types that were on the soccer team. And the captain of the soccer team was very heavily status driven.
Right, okay.
And the person that I was talking to is very fairness
yeah,
driven.
wow.
And it was the grand final. Like they'd smashed out the season. They were in the grand final. They were up 5-1. Right?
Yeah.
They were clearly going to win this grand final. And the person who was on the sidelines at the time, the captain was saying to them, "Oh, you get back on the pitch, like sub back in." And this person was saying, "No, like the other person who's on the subs hasn't played yet, and, and he should play the grand final just like I get to play the grand final." And this captain is saying, "No, you're a better player. You get on the pitch." And the person faked an injury and said, "Oh, I've twisted my ankle. I can't go on. This person needs to go on." So then, the other person goes on the pitch, and this captain's like, "What was that about?" And the person who has fairness as the highest driver said, "He's paid his dues just as I have paid my dues. He's turned up to every training session and every game. He deserves to play in the grand final."
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so interesting watching that kind of even just play out in a soccer team. Right? The fairness versus the status aspects of things. But I think a lot of times when you look at sabotage or resistance, like someone would say, "Oh, well, was the fairness person sabotaging the grand?" No, because he knew they were already 5-1 up. In that remaining 10 minutes, the other team wasn't going to score 4 or 5 points.
No.
Was it sabotage? Was it resistance? No, he was just driven by his very strong ethical, moral compass of fairness and going, that's the right thing to do for that individual. So I think, what we oftentimes see other people say, "Oh, this is resistance, this is sabotage." It's not. It's our own personal drivers, safety drivers, SCARF drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The other thing that I think is really interesting about it is the interview questions. I get asked that in an interview all the time.
Yeah.
And my response to that is, well, if you do it right, you don't get resistance. So that means engaging people, getting them along the journey, including them in the process. If you do all of that right, you rarely do get actual resistance.
Yeah.
You'll still get questions, you'll still get risks that are raised, you'll still get all of the things that make sense, but you rarely get resistance when you can do that up front.
It's funny too, right? Because just the word resistance, and I know you and I have this thing around language and war language and battle language and that kind of stuff, but even resistance comes from, the resistance in World War I, World War II, and against communism and stuff like that, and it even like bringing that into the corporate speak is like, is that even the right word to be using?
Yeah, very true.
In that space,
And then if that is the right language, then good, because they're fighting the good
They're
fight.
fighting the good fight, and maybe it is.
They're against fascism. Yes, let's please.
It should be called resistance in that regard. Exactly.
Absolutely. Make the organisation better as a result. So
So is it resistance? No, I think it's just a reaction.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just a normal human curiosity about making sure they get some questions answered, and I think that's completely fair.
Yeah.
And we've got all the science, the neuroscience, the psychosocial legislation that just backs all that up now. So
exactly.
No. So what would be the question if I said for the people listening, okay, what do I need to do if I don't want to have resistance then? What are the things I need to do?
I mean, the new thing I say is just follow the new ISO 45003 standard because it's...
She just quotes it off the top.
I say it a lot. Because it's so clear.
Yeah,
if you just do this, then you're going to really set yourself up in good stead. I would also say learn about the brain. When we first started out in Change, we never talked about psychology, we never talked about brains, we talked about cheese and penguins and mice, icebergs, but we never really talked about the psychology of it. Now that the research in the neuroscience space has moved forward so much, significantly, even in the last 10 years, leaps and bounds. I think taking time to really understand the neuroscience of it, the psychological safety aspects of it, whether you use the SCARF model or the safety model, like much of a much, but for me, it's what does that person bring to that moment that's driving the questions? There's a memory there, there's a past experience there. It's the, if you look at the safety model, it's the why, it's the you. Y-O-U.
The actual
you. The word. Because they're bringing this history with them, and that's what's driving the questions, right? And that's what helps us get a better result as a change practitioners when we take the time to understand that. So follow standard. Use a model and know the brain science. And it's not like you don't have to do a master's degree in the brain science. Like you could do a short course, you could read a book, you could read an article. Just kind of get to what are some of those drivers for people.
And it's so interwoven now into a lot of the content and media anyway. So you kind of almost have to pick it up by default. So I agree with all of that, 100%. And I think just go in with the curiosity, just ask questions and really, really listen. So don't pretend you're listening. Actually listen around what people are telling you and kind of what is underneath that. So they might ask a question, but really what they're asking is something else, something below that. So just really, and sometimes I'll say, is it okay if I ask you another question around that? So just giving the permission to go, can I dig a little deeper into this to understand what the motivation is? I think that's that. And start early. If you engage people early on, then you actually don't find resistance as well. So just start as early as you can by getting those people in and seek out those ones that are the snarky. Sleep them out because they're going to help you be able to point out the things that are not going to go so wrong.
They're also going to make it really interesting.
They are fun.
Right?
They're fun. The other point that came to my mind is you and I pretty much jumped on the neuroscience stuff really, really early, way before most people did. And I remember at the time when we were studying it, like people were like, why are you doing that? Like, who cares? It's just another
it's just a model.
Tool or another model. And you and I going, finally we've got science that backs up what we've learnt from, the hard knocks. We were just like, let me at it.
Exactly.
I couldn't get enough of it. So it was just amazing. So is that resistance? So not really. Giving you some hints around what to do if you're perceived, but if you do it properly, you don't get it.
Exactly.
Done. Resistance. Boom.
Mic drop.
Out of the way.